Hey, what's up? My name's Tyndall. I do vocals in To Kill Achilles, and I'm about to break down all the lyrics in our new album, Something to Remember Me By. Every topic that we discuss on this record is a personal thing. All these stories have happened to one of us. We've made this character and made this story to explain what could have happened to us if we didn't have the support that we have, if we didn't have each other and our amazing friends and family. But everything is true and real, and everything that you hear is a story from one of us of the last 4 years of our lives. It's a song where we're introduced to our character that we're going to follow for the rest of the record. We meet him on his 25th birthday, waking up, hungover, realising that he may have an alcohol problem. This is where we start to notice that some things aren't right in his life. The song is almost a diary entry and basically describes exactly how I felt on my 25th. In Vain tells us a little bit more about our character. We find out that he's a musician, but he doesn't believe that he's any good. It goes into the fact that his only outlet as a person is this music that he puts into the world, but he just feels like he's constantly copying other artists and there's nothing legit about him as a person. One of my favourite parts in this song is the fact that I took a Bob Dylan lyric, They Say the Times They Are Changing, and put it into the chorus of this song just to prove that this guy is constantly just regurgitating other things. At the end of the song, we basically realise that he's starting to wonder that when he's gone, will people remember him for the man he's trying to be, or the man he actually is? And that man is a failing musician who's worth nothing. Luna e Ultim roughly translates to the moon and the tide. This song's about the passing of time. It's where we learn that our character can't really look at himself in the mirror anymore because he doesn't recognise the man he's becoming. The aging process is scaring him because he feels he's further and further away from the man he once tried to be. This kind of opens up something in his brain that gives a new pathway to a second personality that will always criticise any small achievement that he can make because he's no longer himself. He's now a different version that he doesn't like. This song tells us that our character is given the opportunity to live the dream that he's had for so many years. His band gets offered some tours and a little bit of success, and when he gets to this point he realises that it's not what he thought it was going to be. He's pushed away all of his friends, all of his family, just to focus so intently on this career path. And once he's given it, it's just makes him feel lonely, it makes him feel awful. And he knows that he can't get back those friends because he's burnt those bridges. This song's, again, one really close to us. It was brought up by our guitarist Larry, who said that at one point he was driving across Europe in the middle of the night and realised that he was the furthest away from any friends, any family he's ever been. And if he wanted to go home, he just couldn't because everyone else relied on him. So it's our story of how sometimes tour isn't as glamorous as you'd think. But it's also our character's story that no matter how much you push towards something that you think you're going to love, you're not in control. You don't know how you're going to react to that. Black Marble is another song about the passing of time, and it links to Luna quite a lot. In our timeline, our character's had a taste of what he thought was his purpose in life and realised that he was wrong. It's not his purpose. He returns to the mirror that he couldn't look in before and realises that cracks in his skin have grown deeper. Time's still passing just as quick, but nothing good has happened. It's a horrible moment where you start to contemplate your death and think, would anyone remember you, or would anyone say anything nice about you, or would you just be remembered as that guy they used to know who disappeared? And it's quite a strong one. The name Black Marble comes from a headstone that is at my dad's grave. It's in black marble, and it's about remembering the people who've passed. But in our story, it's about not remembering those people. It's quite a bit. The next song on the record is When You Live With Ghosts, You Don't See the Dead. Now this song's about anxiety, but more importantly about panic attacks. Our characters started to experience panic attacks daily He feels like his heart is going to explode. He's terrified and he's not in control of his body anymore. He contemplates talking to people about it, but openly hears his friends and other people around him mocking people with anxiety, mocking the idea of panic attacks, saying, oh, it's all in your head. And so this causes an internal struggle within him to think, well, if everyone thinks that this doesn't exist, then why is it happening to me? Like, why am I dealing with this if it's not real? All this does is cause him to isolate himself more from those people, because clearly they've just said, maybe not directly, but they've just said that what he's going through isn't real, it's not true. And they're calling it attention seeking and whatnot. And this is a big thing that happens with anxiety in general, is that people just dismiss it because they've not experienced it. So in our story, our character basically is struggling with the idea that he feels physical symptoms, but he's been told it's all made up. Ghosts is essentially about trying to figure out whether or not there's something wrong, or whether it's actually all in your head, which it never is. Agnostic is the halfway point in Something to Remember Me By. It's an inner monologue. It's basically our character telling us what's happening with him. Bear in mind, we started this record and he woke up thinking, I might have some alcohol addiction. But now he's lost his passion, he's lost his friends, he's dealing with mental anxiety, and he has no idea what's going on. In the song that we learn that he's started to pray to a God that he doesn't believe in, just for someone to talk to, because he feels like he can't talk to anyone. We also find out that he's still drinking, he still feels hopeless, and he still feels lost. On My Mind is a letter written from our character to his partner at the time. He's basically saying that he understands that he's hard to be with. He understands that he's going through a difficult time, and to support that must be just as difficult. In his letter, he promises his partner that he will do anything he can just to keep her with him. He's starting to feel like she's the only thing that's left in his life, and he does not want to lose her at all. There's no right way to say this. It describes a day in the life of our character at this point. He's dealing with intense loneliness. He's lost his partner. He's still dealing with alcoholism. He's still dealing with anxiety. And yet, no matter what he's going through, he still feels like he can't reach out to anyone when it's all he needs to do, and he knows that he needs to do it. But there's this saying that sticks in his head, like, men don't ask for help. And no matter how strong a bond is, because no one's asking him how he feels like he can't tell them, because he would be seen as weak. So there's this internal struggle with this character. Basically, he needs to talk to someone, but because of society's way of thinking about men and feelings and such, he just feels like he can't. The song also deals with the fact that the world's becoming a lonelier place. It talks about how we all don't need to leave the house if we don't want to anymore, because you can get anything delivered right like that. It talks about when he does spend time with the people that he loves, they're just face down in their phones and they don't notice what's right in front of them, what's going on with him. But no matter what any of this is, he still can never bring himself to ask, can we talk? And that's all he needs to do. The song Venom is a turning point in the record. It basically describes that our character has realised that death is coming in his life. He's terrified, not of the afterlife, but just of the idea of not being here anymore. He constantly has thoughts back to his father who passed when he was a child, and he thinks perhaps it's like a hereditary thing. It's inevitable. If his father died young, then he has to die young. At the end of the song, we realise that he's contemplating doing something. He doesn't want to live with the fear of death coming. So would it be a better idea to get out of the way? Not have to live in fear anymore. We Only Exist When We Exist Together is not a song about our character at all. This is us, as people, addressing the listener and making sure that they're paying attention to what's actually happened here. We're almost at the end of this record. We've got to a point where we've realised that a character is now contemplating suicide because of the lack of support that he's got, because of the hell that he's going through, and because of the social standards that he feels he needs to live up to. This song is us directly saying, listen to this story. Listen to what's happening here. It's also undermining the fact that we believe that without other people in your life, you just can't survive it. When we say we only exist when we exist together, we mean that we need other people. Everyone needs other people. So this song is just an introspective look at the story from us to you, saying, please pay attention to what's happening here and don't let this happen to someone that you know. 21:36 is the time our character decides to board a train and travel to the place where he will end his life. This guy is now at breaking point. He starts to think about heaven and the idea of an afterlife, and even just the hope that something ahead could be better is enough to motivate him to get on that train. This song is quite intense and deals with basically the idea that this guy has committed to this and he's not going to stop. We are about to lose someone. Beautiful Morning is essentially the end of our story. Our character is on the train, travelling to the place where he'll end his life, and he's thinking back to the idea of his mother who passed when he was younger. This song is in memory of our drummer Kieran Smith's mother who passed when he was young. Basically, our character is thinking back to the embrace that his mother used to give, the love and care that he used to receive from her, and he thinks, I want to see her again. And if she can't come to him, he'll go to her. The last song on this record is Something to Remember Me By. This song basically tells the entire story of everything that I've just explained, but in one song. It's our character leaving his suicide note, which is this song. He travels down to the water where you can hear the waves behind him, and he leaves behind the last thing he'll ever leave behind, which is his music that he still doesn't believe in, which is this record. He walks into the ocean and he never comes back. So that's every story that we've written for Something to Remember Me By. This album took the better part of 3 years to write, and we had to open up in a way that we never thought we would, especially publicly. It helped us a lot, but it also put us in quite a dark place because you essentially live these stories while you talk about them. Again, we urge you, if you see any similarities in anyone you know, please to just take that 10 minutes and ask them if they're doing alright. It does make the world a difference. It would have to any of us. And if anyone needs to talk and you feel like you can't talk to the people close to you, our inbox is always open. Just get in touch.